Welcome to the Sharpe Way Show. So happy to have you with me this evening. And it's a little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast. A little bit late today, but that's okay. I have an interesting guest, so it makes up for it completely. I know that you guys have seen me recently have a lot of independent party people on the show, and I often do. Greens, Libertarians. I actually had a prohibitionist on here once before. And I wanted to bring on somebody who I thought was doing what I thought was interesting, running locally, not a presidential candidate, trying to make things happen, but for a federal office. And the person I bring on is someone who's been an activist for a long time in Jersey, who is now trying to avoid the duopoly, as I always try to do, and is trying to make change. He is running for Congress in New Jersey with the Green Party. Barry Bendar. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, Larry. Thank you for having me on tonight.
Absolutely. And for those of you who want to see what Barry's doing, you can either follow him on Twitter if you want to at Barry B. Bendar. And if you're listening, the Bendar is Bendar, pronounced Bendar, Barry D. Bendar, or check out his website at Barry4Jersey.com. So, Barry, I got to ask you the first question, which is always the craziest one, which is, why? Like, why would you punish yourself doing this? And if you're going to do it, to be very forward, why wouldn't you run as a Democrat or Republican? Why do this and why do it as a Green?
Okay. I'll give you a little bit of history. Years ago, actually from 2004 through 2013, I was the Democratic municipal chair here where I live in Lacey Township.
There we go. Okay.
I ran as a Democrat numerous times. Actually, I ran for Congress in 2010 as a Democrat in the Democratic primary against a sitting Democratic congressman. And we had our differences, and I decided to run against him in the primary. And I actually won one town over in Burlington County, Willingboro, which I refer to as my second hometown. But what I found out, and I had suspicions of it for a long time, where I live in New Jersey, and I'm sure you've seen the show Jersey Shore.
Of course. Yep, absolutely.
That's where I live. Okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
I live on the Jersey Shore, and I found in a county called Ocean County, and I found very strong evidence that the county chair for the Democratic Party here in Ocean County was reporting directly to the Republican chair. And
we've had that happen here in New York too. Yep, absolutely.
And I said, why am I wasting my time? So I ran once as an independent, and then I found the Green Party, and I looked at what the Green Party stood for, and I said, pretty much everything that they stand for is what I stand for, and I decided to get involved with the Green Party.
There we go. Okay, that's why you're going Green.
Okay. Yep, absolutely.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. Look, I run Libertarian, so I get it. I run third party. I totally understand. Yep. So then why for Congress then? Why not run for city council or for president by that? Right? Why did you decide Congress?
I wouldn't run for president ever. I think you have to be out of your mind to run for president. Just my opinion. Okay.
Yes, probably right.
I apologize.
Can I get you to turn your notifications off of that? Will it work?
It was the same thing. I thought I had turned them off, and they're still banging up. So anyway, the reason I'm running for, actually, to let you know, as a Green, I've run for township committee here.
You have? Okay.
Yeah, I ran for what is now called county commissioner. They used to call them freeholders here in Ocean County. And last year I ran for the New Jersey Assembly as a Green Party candidate.
Well, there we go. Okay, so you thought this was the time for you. All right. So often, and I just got this, people who are watching, they believe that the Green Party is often interchangeable with socialists. Now, I know that when Howie Hawkins ran in 2020, he was both he's a friend of mine. He
Yep.
was both the Green Party candidate and the Socialist Party candidate. Michael asks, so the Green has often been interchangeable with socialist as communist. Is that true for you in New Jersey? Is that a fair way of looking at the Greens or no?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. People run around screaming socialist, 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 but most people who are screaming that have no idea what socialism really is. Okay.
Okay.
Because socialism actually is an economic term as opposed to a political term. It has to do with. Go ahead.
Let's walk down that road then.
Okay.
So I know one of the big things you talk about often is pushing for single payer healthcare. That's a big part of what you speak about.
Big time, 100%.
Why? Why that one?
Why that one? Well, I can give you an example here in New Jersey. Okay. Mm-hmm. We probably have the worst property tax.
Yes.
In the country here in New Jersey. That property tax is based on school taxes and various other things. But just to let you know, I try to attend every single township committee meeting that my town has. They meet twice a month, and I go to every single one because I'll just tell you, I don't trust them. Okay. And their excuse for raising taxes is always, well, you know what? Healthcare costs has gone up and we have to pay for our employees. And that's why your taxes went up. Well, here's the deal with single payer healthcare. Okay. There'll be payroll deductions from people's pay. All right. Townships will no longer have to pay the money out for the health care for their employees, which in turn should lead to a cut in our property taxes, number one. Number two, single payer health care also allows small businesses not to carry the burden of supplying health insurance for their employees, which in turn saves them money, which in turn allows them to hire more employees and help fight unemployment.
So your view is that this is more of an economic issue. And that's the top reason for you is economics.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if you look at the state of healthcare here in New Jersey, and I guess it's throughout the entire country, people on a regular basis lose their homes and lose everything they own because of the burden of healthcare costs that isn't covered by their insurance. Okay.
So in this plan, would you outlaw private insurance, or could people still have private insurance if they wanted to, but there would be basically like a public option? Or how would that work in your world?
To me, people should have the option of doing, what they wish, but also it's important that everyone is covered by health insurance. And there are too many people out there now that don't have health insurance, and when they get sick, they don't have a lot of options.
So, okay, in the idea, so you basically would want a public option that would also allow for people to have private insurance if they wanted to.
Those that have the money to afford it, absolutely. But I mean, I have private insurance now, and for a lot of things, the out of pocket is unbearable. The amount of money you have to pay on top of what they're taking out of your paycheck for your insurance is a big burden. And I make a decent salary, and I can imagine how it is for people who make a lot less than I make. It must be really, you have to make a choice between food and going to the doctor. I would think.
Okay.
Yeah.
David says, I can see how he can get disillusioned with the two major parties. I agree. Yes, absolutely. The scientific libertarian, though, asks a specific question. He says, hey, does this guy support nuclear energy? I know many green people do not. Do you fall into that bin?
Well, I'll give you a little background on that one too. Okay.
Please.
I live 1 mile from Oyster Creek Nuclear Generating Station here in Lacey Township in New Jersey. Okay. That Oyster Creek is designed exactly the same as Fukushima was designed. And the problem in Fukushima, if those that don't know, wasn't the reactor. It was the spent fuel rods. And when the tidal wave came in, it uncovered the spent fuel rods and they started to burn. Okay. To me, I'll support nuclear power when they tell me that there will be no waste that will be radioactive for 100 generations. That's when I'll support nuclear power. And people are talking about, this and that. If someone can prove to me that there's something that uses, nuclear energy where there's not waste, I'll be on board. But
I hear people talking often about Gen 4 nuclear energy. I've had people on the show talk about it, how it's much better, all those types. And I feel like many people who I've talked to in the Green Party, you're the first person I've talked to who's actually open to even hearing it. So many of them are just mind closed, don't want to hear it at all.
Well, my thing is the spent fuel rods. Okay. And, I can drive. I live right off a main highway here, Route 9. And you can drive down Route 9 and you see where the spent fuel rods are. And on top of it, I have to share, Oyster Creek has become a little bit of a political hot potato. And I'll explain to you about that. My town or township, Lacey Township, has always been in one congressional district. I'm Congressional District 4 where I'm running.
Okay.
They took a tiny little piece when they redistricted this last time around. And if you know the term gerrymandered,
yes,
I think it was invented in New Jersey. Okay. Because they took a tiny, tiny little snip of my town and put it in Congressional District 2. And it just so happens in that tiny little snip of my town is Oyster Creek Nuclear Generating Station. Okay. Now, let me explain to you why that's important to me. Congressional District 4, the gentleman I'm running against, his name is Chris Smith, has been in Congress for 44 years.
Oh, yes, of course.
He predates the political boss. Okay. And I'll give you that name also, George Norcross, who runs our state. It just so happens that George Norcross sits on the board of the company that's decommissioning this power plant. And the congressman in District 2, whose name is Jeff Van Drew, even though he's switched to be a Republican and swears his allegiance to Donald Trump, he still reports to George Norcross.
Of course.
So we are really not comfortable with that whole redistricting situation, just to share.
Well, there we go. I understand party bosses very well. We're neighbors when it comes to that, my friend.
All right.
That part I get completely, 100%. All right. So in your world, we'd have single payer. Mm-hmm. We would only have nuclear energy if we could find a way to deal with the spent fuel rods.
Yep.
But the next thing you talk about is the idea of ending all the wars. This part, to me, I'm on board. I love the idea of ending all the wars.
Right.
I just don't know how you do that, but I get it. Like, I'm on board. Like, I love the idea of ending all the wars. Libertarians are notoriously anti-war. But then how do you, and I'm sure people are going to say this, how do you remove yourself from Ukraine, from Israel, Gaza? How do you pull yourself out of these things when we've already put, billions upon billions of billions of dollars into it? And as I'm sure you know, it's funding half of our military industrial complex, which is making jobs. Where I am in New York, upstate New York is filled with jobs that are coming from the military industrial complex now. Right. Tons of them. We shut that down. I got less jobs. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just putting in front of you a serious issue.
I think that the money would be much better spent on things like, for instance, I don't know if we've mentioned already, but an organization I belong to, ACS, American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. Okay, we go and we lobby our elected officials in DC and ask them to fund cancer programs, and we get, decent amount of money, but it's not $1 trillion. Okay, and if they took some of that money that they're killing people with to save people's lives, who knows? Maybe we'll have a cure for cancer. These are the things that I think about.
I get it, but don't I want a job to pay my bills, right? Don't I want to have a cool job with one of the military industrial complex companies so I can buy myself that new car I need, or I can put my kid into college, or I can pay off my mortgage, or whatever is the thing? And don't I care more about that right now than I do that maybe one day I'll get cancer? Doesn't the average American feel that?
Well, though the people that work in the military industrial complex could be retooled to work on green initiatives, green energy, et cetera, which we need a lot more of. I mean, here in New Jersey, the governor has put out an edict that everyone's going to be driving electric cars by 2030. Well, where's the infrastructure? Where's the infrastructure? Okay. And where is the electricity coming from that you're charging your car with? So what are we accomplishing? I mean, they talk in big terms, but they're not seeing the picture all the way through, which is what I say when I talk about nuclear power. I've been an IT professional for over 45 years. And if I designed a system that worked like a nuclear generator, where you have a bunch of waste at the end and you don't know what to do with it, I'd probably lose my job. You need to see the thing all the way through, okay? And again, with the military industrial complex, people could be retooled, retrained, et cetera, to work in other areas. And personally, I'm not comfortable with the military industrial complex. I think it's self-perpetuating. And as a result, you're self-perpetuating death. And that's wrong, in my opinion.
I think it's true, right? I do think it's true. I'm just saying you're asking someone to get rid of that cool job they just got. That's all I'm saying. You're asking the guy or gal who just got the cool job for the military industrial contractor to now all of a sudden go, okay, now look, I hope you can go build a windmill or something, or whatever is the thing you're going to tell them, right? That's not an easy task, is all I'm saying. It's not a simple thing to do. And on top of that, I guess the other piece is, wouldn't we want to, if we had a choice, push the nuclear energy piece to get the energy going so that we could build other things? Or no? My worry is the transition might be such a horrible transition that it creates so much chaos, right? Or disruption that now people say, no, I don't want it. Let's go back to the old ways.
Well, as we continue to use, generate nuclear power, you're generating more of the, spent fuel rods, which in turn gives you that many more years that those are going to be radioactive, and God forbid, I'll say it, something happens to those fuel rods like what happened in Fukushima. It's in a sense, and I've said to people, I'm glad I'm only a mile away, because if something bad really happens, I'm not going to know.
Okay. Yeah. Good point. Yes.
Yeah.
I live in New York City. If there's something bad happens, someone will.
You'll know about a half hour after me, Larry. You'll know
there we go. Yes, exactly. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me then move to the next piece, which I think becomes challenging for me.
Okay.
And that is, you talk about capitalism and colonialism. And capitalism, someone here actually Ben brings up the concept. Ben says it's a contradiction of capitalism. Jobs in the military industrial complex sector getting traded for lives overseas. It's contradictory in nature. But then how do you build up what you want to build up without the private sector, right, growing and finding value and creating jobs and all the things that we want? Don't we need capitalism for that? Don't we need the private sector to make this happen?
Well, capitalism in a lot of ways is extremely inhumane. People are left to the wayside. For instance, I'll give you a point that I would make. We live in the richest country in the world, the most powerful country in the world. Yet there are thousands of people who wander the streets who are homeless.
Sure.
That's a byproduct of capitalism as far as I'm concerned. And it's wrong. It's wrong. People need to, my feeling is there are certain human rights. You have a human right to have a roof over your head, food on your table, and have proper medical care. Those are the three basic things that I believe in.
But if you look at other countries that are more socialistic, or even heavily socialist, or at least in name communist, even some aren't actually, but some in name are at least communist. They're less capitalist, and I think in almost every case you still have people who wander the streets homeless. You still have people who suffer. I feel like this is the ability of a centralized government far more than an economic system. Am I missing something?
Well, socialism truly is where the workers own the means of production. Okay, so instead of having executives, etc., the profits and the loss and whatever is shared by all the workers that work in the particular industry, and if more of the money is distributed amongst the people as opposed to at the top, which is what capitalism breeds, okay, then there'll be more room for other workers, et cetera, to fight the unemployment. Like I mentioned about the single payer healthcare with small businesses. If they don't have to pay.
If you look at, and hear me out on this, if you look at the countries that have the most co-ops, as an example, where workers own the company and things like that, aren't all of these countries, aren't they all capitalist countries, right? In a socialist or communist country, workers don't tend to own the companies at all.
Socialism is where the workers own the company. That's the definition of socialism. Communism, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't exist and hasn't existed on this planet yet.
So I think of communism as the government owns all the property. That's how I see that. There's no private property. The government owns all the property. And that's how I see it. Am I wrong when I say that?
I'm not sure exactly what the full definition of communism, but the word commune is included in there, which means a sharing of everything. Right. A sharing of everything, which that, those countries that we deem to be communist, that's not the situation in China and what the former Soviet Union. That wasn't the situation. There's no royalty when it's communism.
There's no royalty was communism. So you're saying communism hasn't really existed?
No, I believe it has never existed on this planet.
Okay.
That's my belief.
How about socialism? Do you think that has existed on the planet?
Not fully. Not fully.
No. Is there a country in your view that comes close?
I think some of the countries in the Netherlands are closer than most. Yeah.
So like the Netherlands, Sweden,
right,
Norway, those types.
Yep.
Okay.
But they're not there. They're not there 100%, and it appears recently that they're creeping away from it in some ways. Why that is?
I think a lot of them are. Norway isn't as much because Norway has a large sovereign fund. So I think that supports it heavily. The other countries don't have huge sovereign funds. So it makes it easier. Socialism works very well when you add capitalism. Then it works very well. When you have a sovereign fund to pay for everything, it works pretty well. So no, I get what you're saying. Okay, so that's what so you think we need to move more towards that in general. But does what you said though to me feels like, and I'm gonna tell you what I feel. You tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
It feels like you're not actually anti-capitalist. You're anti, I guess, wealth gap.
Well, yeah, and actually, in capitalism, in true capitalism, it's supposed to be survival of the fittest,
right?
And there are no bailouts for corporations or welfare for large corporations, which
100%
is where we are.
Agreed.
Yeah,
agreed. I cannot stand the bailouts. I hate when the government picks winners and losers. I hate when the government bails out the banks but won't bail out individuals. I hate when we always seem to have tons of money to give to some big company, but never to give to the person who's starving. I completely agree. 100%.
The term too big to fail is that's nonsense. Complete nonsense.
Yeah. All right. So let me move to the piece if I could. Let me move to the idea of colonialism. This part has always, I guess, almost scared me in the way. What do I mean by that? So many people could claim colonialism. And I worry if we open up a horrible, can of worms, that makes us all colonizers, right? That we're all over. That's my word. But tell me how you feel about that. That's been my fear.
Well, in the past, the colonial power was England for years
British
and
Empire,
years and years.
sure. Yep.
And you can blame the mess that is presently going on in the Middle East on that colonialism. Okay. But now the United States has stepped in, as far as I'm concerned, to be the colonial power. And I'll give you my grassroots, bottom of the line. They act as a strong arm for the multinational corporations so that they can basically take the resources that the planet has and use it to their advantage and to their gain while neglecting the rest of the people who live on the planet. That's my opinion.
Okay, so you would rather the U.S. government walk away from multinational companies, or punish them, or just leave them alone? What happens?
Well,
with the
I
U.S.
would
government in
like
that regard?
them, I'll say it point blank, I would like them
Please.
not to be owned by the multinational corporations, because I believe
Got it.
most of what they do, they're acting on behalf of those.
Got it. So your concern is how they lobby and control the government.
Absolutely.
Okay, I got it. You got some fans. Madeline says, "Hear, hear, Barry." So you got some fans. That's good. Jonathan says, "What we have today is crony capitalism."
Yes.
I think that's true. And my issue here, which I always go back to, is I feel like even if we didn't have capitalism, that we'd still have cronies. And that the problem is cronies, not the capitalism. Like if you go to more socialist societies, you still get cronies, right? If you go to more socialist countries, you still get poor people dying in the streets. Like I think you still get the same things. When you look at a place like, for example, I'll go to we talking about like Denmark or someplace like that has a deeper social safety net. I think that's true.
Right.
But they actually tax differently. They tax the poor more and the middle class more than the rich by percentage, because their logic is, well, you use more of the stuff, right? The rich don't need it. So by percentage, they actually tax the poor more by percentage. Now, of course, our system is completely broken. In theory, we tax the wealthy more. In practice, we don't, because we create loopholes so they don't pay any taxes. But on paper, we tax the wealthy more, not reality. But they actually, on paper and reality, they actually tax their middle class more by percentage. So I don't know if we want to go that route. Do we, it's almost like in their view, they want you to pay more for their goods. For example, if you're not doing it very well in Denmark, you pay more taxes. You'll pay 50%, 60% taxes, but you get a lot. Like you get a lot. You got free college, you got free education, you got all kind of good stuff. In fact, in most of these places, yes,
yeah,
you get healthcare, you get everything, right?
But if you think about where most of our money goes, okay, it's those things. It's those things. I'll just tell you, I'm going to be working. I'm going to be 67 years old. I'm going to be working past 70 to pay off a parent's loan for my daughter.
There we go. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I get it.
It hits home. It hits home.
So David says, I agree with Larry. Cronyism is the problem. Capitalism is not the problem. I always get cronyism. That always bothers me. I see it constantly. I see it in every place I view. I do see that. That's what I always think about it in my head. Well, the Good Samaritan, he agrees with you. He says, capitalism exploits labor for private wealth and bases policies on maximizing profits. Socialism aims to help the common good.
Well, I'll give you another idea. Okay. I've worked for many, many large corporations. I work for Merrill Lynch right now.
Oh, sure.
Okay. And
you're a greedy capitalist, Barry. You greedy capitalist.
I have to survive. I have to pay the bills. Okay.
Okay.
But here's the deal. I've seen so many times in the places I've worked, large corporations, where they're not making what they want to make, and the value of the stock is all that matters, not the people who are producing for the company itself that the stock is based on. So you see people losing their jobs so that the value of the stock stays up. And to me, that's something that I'll use the term again. It's inhumane. It's inhumane. The value of the stock shouldn't be more important than the people that are doing the work. And I think socialism lends itself more to that than capitalism ever could.
You said that, and so did Good Samaritan. He said it aims to help, right? The common good.
Mhm.
How? In other words, if I have more ownership, does that mean that
You
I
get
am
more of a percentage in whatever comes in to the company that you're working for? You're directly involved in your hard work. What you get is directly related to how you work, as opposed to, for years, and I'll say it, I've worked really hard in my career, and the people who've made the most of that are the people who sit up at the top, okay, and really, they make decisions that are important, but
right?
They're not really the ones doing the work itself.
Isn't the pushback that I'm sure you've heard before?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Barry, that's true. But when things go wrong, that person's responsible, right?
Well, I'll give you an
Isn't
example.
that the pushback you get?
No, I'll give you an example, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I'm not going to say it's the American way, but I think it happens more often than not. I work for a pharmaceutical company, okay? Pharmaceutical companies, it's important to keep new drugs in the pipeline, keep things moving, because things come off patent. Well, with this particular company, the CEO sat back and relied on one particular drug, and the company made tons and tons and tons of money off of it. But he had nothing in the pipeline. Oh. And when that drug went off patent, basically the company pretty much was going belly up.
Sure.
Okay. And the way his contract was written, I think it was 10, 20 million. It was the golden parachute. Oh, he got the golden parachute. He got use of an office for the remainder of his life, access to the corporate helicopter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's wrong.
Jealous. Corporate helicopter. I'm jealous.
That's wrong. That's wrong. It was a big pharmaceutical company that I worked for. New Jersey is famous for pharmaceutical companies.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So
I'm jealous of the helicopter. That is kind of cool. Just saying.
Cool.
So,
but it's wrong. It's wrong. The guy almost put the company out of business, and he walked away. Probably better off.
Then let me walk down that road. Then, if I could, let's say you win this thing.
Mm-hmm.
You become a congressman.
Yep.
Is this a place for you now to use the bully pulpit to talk about this? Is there a policy that you would want to implement that would help to stop that CEO from that happening and to give more ownership to people?
Well, that would be attacking capitalism and pushing socialism, and that's what I would be doing.
I'm not sure like that's been happening in New York, right? And that's what I feel like. I feel like there's been a push towards socialism in New York, heavily raising minimum wage, highest unionization, government controlling a lot, attack on privatization, attempts at taxing the wealthy. That's how I see the policies as moving towards socialism. Right. Do you disagree, or would that be the things you'd be doing also?
I mean, some of the things would make sense. Some of the things would make sense, but overall, it's eliminating where all the money. We were talking before about the gap, the wealth gap. Where all the money stays at the top, and there was a
big problem.
There was a term used years ago called the trickle-down theory.
I remember that.
And the only thing I feel trickling down is not money; it's something else that trickles down. If you know what I'm saying.
Yes, it's not money. Trickle down might have helped the Chinese or the Russians or the Eastern Europeans or whatever. Maybe didn't help us. I agree. Did not help us at all. No. Yes, 100%. So I guess then, are you looking at it at a point where you would have more democracy at work? Is that maybe a better way of saying it?
That could be a way of saying it. Absolutely. But it's sharing. It's not just democracy, but sharing, more sharing. You got CEOs in these enormous corporations making so much money that they can take care of 100 generations down the road, while other people are barely getting by and have to decide between putting food on the table and getting medical care, and that's wrong.
So let me go to another piece you talked about. You want to raise the minimum wage federally, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that helps or hurts when it comes to unions and ownership? And why I say that is, I feel like those two can fight each other. If you look at some of the companies the countries that are the most unionized workers, they don't have a minimum wage because unions have solved that problem for them, right? They don't require minimum wage because so many of the workers are unionized. The unions are able to create a minimum wage by just unionizing, and then everything kind of goes up because of that, right?
Yep.
Do you think that raising minimum wage might actually harm unions, or no? Or
I don't think it would harm unions because there are, again, a lot of people like small businesses, etc., here in this country, and a lot of people work for small businesses, own small businesses. Raising the minimum wage, in my opinion, makes their lives, again, I go back to the thing I said before, that every person should have, as a human right, a roof over their head, food on the table, and proper health care. And raising the minimum wage would, lead in that direction. And again, if you move like the one big item that we talked about in the beginning, single payer health care, to me, here in New Jersey, reduces our property taxes, and for the small businesses in the state, it allows them to have more money where they can hire more people. More people will be put to work. So that would definitely, day one, that'd be something I'd be pushing when I hit the floor in Congress, for sure. That's number one.
That's the biggest issue is getting that piece up, because you think that piece is going to help economics more than anything.
And it'll allow people to have more money in their pocket here in New Jersey when it comes to, paying property taxes, and it allows small business to expand at a much higher rate than they are now.
I guess my concern is I look at California, which has recently raised the minimum wage. Not been good for them initially. Vermont tried to do single payer. Didn't work. New York has made an attempt to do single payer, but hasn't passed. They're all worried that the price will go up. Are they wrong, or is this fear? They believe, New York State believes, that people in the people who are elected, I should say, not the individual New Yorkers. I don't know what New Yorkers believe.
Right.
But the people who are elected, our assembly, they believe it's too expensive, and they base it off of the example in Vermont. Are they wrong, or does this have to be federal? How do we get around that?
Well, people have talked about, when it comes to single payer healthcare, having the individual states. But if it happens at the federal level, the federal government has the ability to implement a program where we refer to it as improved and expanded Medicare. Medicare exists now. Medicare exists now, so it would be along those lines. Again, there's deductions, et cetera, from payroll, et cetera, but it ensures that every person has proper health care. And again,
so you're actually not saying create a separate system. You're saying take the system we have and then modify that system that we already have.
Yes.
Got it. That's okay. That's different. Yeah. Okay. That's where you're going. Yeah. Okay. I get where you're going. Let me talk to my audience for a second. Guys, if you're watching, you're liking this conversation, then do me a favor, click the button that is like. Click that like button. I want you to click it right now. If you don't click it now, what you are saying is you hate me and Barry. That's what you're saying. I'm going to accept it as you hate us if you don't click the like button. Click the button that is like. It does matter. Please click it. It is important. Every little bit counts. Please do so. If you are watching this on X or Twitter, retweet this right now. Let people know. Retweet it so more people can see this, right? We have several hundred people watching. I'd like to have even more watching right now, right? So please retweet it. It does matter. It's important. If you want your chat to go to the front, you can support the channel by super chatting me on YouTube. Do that if you want to. You can also, if you love me, and I hope you love me, you can become a member by clicking join. $49 per month keeps me doing more and more of this. But if you love what Barry's saying, you can support him too. You can head over to Jersey.com, and you can support him. You can donate. Taking donations. He also, if you're in Jersey, you can volunteer for him too. He needs volunteers also, and also money. Both are important. You need people to sign waves, knock on doors, all those things. You can also just follow him on Twitter if you want to, at Barry D. Bendar, and that's Bendar on Twitter or X. Follow him there, and you can see what he's doing. So make sure everyone knew that. And if you haven't clicked the like button, I'm mad at you now. And you don't want me mad at you. So click that damn like button. It's free. Do it. All right. So anyway, good. Christina says, you have a fan here. She says, I'll do a fundraiser for him next week. Look at you.
That's Christina.
You got people who are helping you out. I do love that. Yes. Jean brings up a valid point. She says, Medicare doesn't pay for everything. It only pays for 80%. Medicare for all doesn't guarantee proper health care for everyone.
Right.
So are you looking at a rule that would shift that from 80 to 100?
You bet.
Or would it be 90 or something like that?
No. Be 100.
Be 100. Okay, just make it 100.
Expanded and improved are the terminology we use.
Expand and improve.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. The Joel is scared of that. Joel says Medicare for all, government accounting offices deciding your health care. I feel like that's scary to me too. I'm with Joel on this. I'm scared of that. How do we get around that, Barry? How do we get around some bureaucrat telling me that I don't get to have eye surgery or whatever, right? I don't get the new kidney or whatever is the thing, right? How do we get around that?
Well, we have that right now, okay? With the as opposed to a doctor telling you what care you need, okay? You have an insurance company telling you what they will allow you to have, okay? My feeling is with expanded and improved Medicare for all, then we should be able to get the proper care, okay? As opposed to having someone who's trying to make money, okay, off your insurance, telling you what you can and can't do with, and telling your doctor what they can and can't do with your medical care.
Okay. Let's move on to what is a very controversial topic right now.
Okay.
The border. Everyone is talking about the border, right? Oh my God, the border. Mm-hmm. Does the Green Party or you, either one, have a clear policy on the border?
The border, actually, there's a lot to it. Okay. Mm-hmm. First of all, the people who are coming here wouldn't be coming here if things were good in their countries.
True. Good point.
And the neglect that the United States is showing, or the support of a multinational corporation that they're showing, okay, is causing the problems that for many of the countries that are south of our border, okay? So those people are coming here, okay, to escape violence, to come and find a better way of life. And as far as I'm concerned, if someone is willing to come here and work and you know, become a citizen of this country, okay, then they should be welcomed with open arms, as far as I'm concerned.
So does that mean, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I this is the term I hear. Does that mean you're more of an open borders person? Just let them in, whatever happens, or am I mischaracterizing?
No, to a point, absolutely.
Okay,
but the immigration system in this country is a total mess. It takes too long. I mean, I had a friend of mine. His son was married a woman who was living in the United Arab Emirates. Okay. They got married. Well, like, it's got to be closer to 3 years ago. Okay. She was applied over 2 years ago, probably closer to 3, to get a visa to come into this country. She's been waiting. They've had a child. Their child is over 6 months old, and they were still waiting. He had to go to another embassy and apply at a different embassy, and just now things are starting to move. It's absolutely insanity. It's insane.
So would you be open to the idea that I'd had for New York? I live in New York City, obviously, and we've had tons and tons of immigrants come flooding into our city, more than the city can handle, right? About 180,000.
Some of them were shipped there by people.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they came into our city, and we have in New York City, we have the right to shelter. So we have to pay for them and all those things.
Mhm.
So I thought, well, the government is not prepared to deal with this. It can't. Why aren't we letting a private organization, and sadly, I know you wouldn't like this, but for profit, right? That they would actually have a private organization, recruiting companies that do this for a living. They ship people around the world into international companies all over the place. Let them handle it. They come in, they go to this private company. It's a big hotel, like a big hotel where people stay. They stay in a hotel. The private company says, hey, you can do X, Y, and Z. Okay, let's get you over to here. And they get paid by the company that's hiring the people, like a recruiter, right? So if there's a hotel hiring, I know in New York State, a lot of people are construction, immigrants go to construction, they go to agriculture, and they go to hospitality. Those are three big ones in New York State. I don't know if that's true across country. I know that's true in New York State. So if it's a big agricultural company or a big hospitality company, they pay, right, the recruiting company to give them and to the workers, and the recruiting company processes the workers faster so they can pay taxes or whatever the case may be. Would you be okay with a privatized answer to something like that?
No, I think the privatized answer leads to exploitation of the individual workers. Just my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they would make.
So you think it has to
I
be
think
a
they would
government
make.
answer?
Yeah, I think the privatization would lead to workers making peanuts while the people who are doing and I've seen it in my field. Okay.
Okay.
Like I said, I've been an IT professional for 45 years, and people coming over from Europe and various other areas, and the exploitation. I've seen it firsthand.
Sal says, don't forget food service. I include hospitality in that, but you're right, to be clear, also food, but I included that in hospitality. But yes, I think that's where they go in New York. I'm assuming the rest of the country is similar, but I know that's what New York State is. So but my worry, though, is what's happened now with the government. We have now in New York State, we have almost like a migrant industrial complex. So now it's become a grift to keep migrants, right? Now it's become a grift to keep homeless people. This has now become a grift. Like, I don't want to get rid of homeless because I don't get paid. I don't want to get rid of migrants because I don't get paid. But if we incentivize them to go to work, wouldn't the capitalist who wants the money, wouldn't the capitalist instead say, oh, if I get paid to put people to work, I'm going to go put people to work? Or am I off on this?
Well, yeah, they might put people to work, but again, I made the point that they might collect big funds while the workers are exploited and make peanuts and still live, not the kind of life that they should be living.
Got it. Okay.
That's the concern.
Okay.
That's the concern.
No worries. Well, I'm asking. So you would have if you could change the system, it would be a much more open system, but it would be a system where the government would just process people faster. Am I characterizing that correctly? It would just kind of process people faster?
The amount of red tape and just that experience that I was just talking to you about, that it's going on 3 years, and this family has been separated for 3 years, and they had to go to a different embassy to get things to start moving. I mean, I just found out the other day that, oh my goodness, hey, he went to this other embassy and something's gonna happen, and I was like, really, really happy, because my friend's son had to travel to the United Arab Emirates to see his daughter, and he works for a living. Right. And he works for a living, so he had to take time off from work, And this is our immigration system. It's it needs to be fixed. Fix is at this point, but it needs to be fixed because it's completely broken. It's completely.
Well, somebody's teasing you now. He says, "Why doesn't he sound like he's from New Jersey?" So
are you kidding me?
I guess you don't have a good enough Jersey accent for him.
I'll just a quick story. On Easter break one year when I was in college, I went to Fort Lauderdale, and there were 2 girls from Minnesota, and every time I opened my mouth, they would laugh because I'm serious. I'm serious. Absolutely.
There we go. I liked it. That's good. So the last piece I want to bring up is a personal issue.
Okay.
You have also been very concerned about animal rights.
Oh, bet. Mm-hmm.
animal rights to me, I feel like it's very controversial because people say, care about people. We have homeless, right? We have people starving, right? And I feel like when you bring up animal rights, a lot of people think, what about humans? You have to get that pushback, don't you?
Well, you do, but for when it comes to animal rights, humane treatment of animals is important. To me, every life on this planet, as far as I'm concerned, is an important life, and that includes animals. Okay, I'll give you an example here in New Jersey. All right,
Okay.
I had been talking to the governor because he would go to different outings, and I would show up at these various events and talk to him. We have a bear hunt here in New Jersey. Okay, the reason the bears are intermingling with people is because we can continue to develop. Okay, we're taking their homes and putting our homes on them. So I was talking to him about, hey, we have to stop the bear hunt. There's better ways of doing it, and he said, well, I could do an executive order, but it'll just get overridden, and it will get nowhere. Blah, 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 blah. And I said, oh, well, that's your opinion. But the year he was up for election, what did he do for 1 year? For 1 year only, 1 year while he was up for election, he stopped the bear hunt. And then he put it right back on. And then he put it right back on. He's not my hero. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Got it. I get it.
I won't use the regular terms I use to describe, but yes.
No worries. I get it completely. So, but I guess my feeling then becomes, how can one person, you, run for Congress, be an activist, right? Do all the things you want to do. I assume you sleep sometimes. It's my assumption that you sleep, right? It's my assumption. Do all those things.
Very little, yeah.
And be effective. This has got to be challenging for you to do all these things at the same time. Are you able to build the team out or no?
Well, in the Green Party, we are. There's you haven't brought up the subject, but the Green 13. All of us are.
The Green 13, yes. I'm sorry. I forgot about your Green 13 plan. Please tell me the Green 13, yes.
Okay. The Green 13 is this. There are 12 congressional districts in New Jersey, and we have one Senate seat up. That of Robert Menendez is up this year. The famous, yes.
Yes, infamous.
This year, the plan was, and we're one person short right now, but the plan was to have a Green Party candidate running in every congressional district in New Jersey, plus a Senate candidate. We're one person short. We had somebody lined up, and he backed out just a couple days ago. So we're still working on the Green 13, but what it does is it gives the people another choice when they come out and vote in November. And if they support the platforms that we stand for, they can go and do that, which runs into another thing that we talked about, which is ranked choice voting, which is also another big.
I am a huge fan of some form of changing. Like some people don't like ranked choice, but it's fine. I love ranked choice or approval or star, not first past the post plurality, not that, which is what we have, right? That's what I want.
Yeah, I'm working with an organization now, and we're pushing to get ranked choice voting here in New Jersey. We're starting at the municipal and Board of Education level, and we're going to work our way up. But we've made some big gains already, and we're continuing to push. There's a bill in the New Jersey Senate and in the Assembly, and we're pushing to get those passed. Once that gets passed, it'll allow any municipality in the state of New Jersey, if they decide. Actually, we do something called a trigger ordinance, which says when the state passes these two bills, that municipality will put a ballot question on the ballot and allow the people to vote to see if they want to use ranked choice voting in their municipal and school board elections. And we're making progress. And to me, ranked choice voting, the way that I know it, and I do presentations on this, would change things enormously. It would most likely get people from your party and my party elected on a regular basis.
100%. I completely agree. 100%. I have the amount of times that libertarians and Greens have fought together against New York State for electoral issues all the time. I don't know if you happen to know Gloria here in New York.
Gloria Matera.
Yes.
Yes.
Her and I have been together more than once fighting the state. Yes. Oh, yes. More than once. Absolutely. You're totally correct. But there is ranked choice voting now in New York City, only for the Democratic primary.
Primary. Yes.
That's it. Only they get it. We don't get it, but they get it. So
well, we had that happen over here in New Jersey in the Democratic primary. They got rid of the line, quote, the line. But it doesn't help us in the general election. And we're talking about possibly doing something about that.
Yes, absolutely. So, well, this ranked choice got some people talking. Hold on. A couple of people were talking. This Madeline says the winner-take-all strategy hurts the electorate more than it helps. Agree with you on this, Larry. Okay, we got some people coming. All right. Skylar says, I'm pro-liberty and would also love to see a multi-party system versus the two-party system. It's cool to see this interview. Green Party actually elected candidates in my city in the 90s. So I know it's possible. We continue to do that for the Libertarian Party also. I agree. I think that's, I completely agree. I think multi-party systems are definitely better than what we have now. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, 100%. That's absolutely true.
Right.
So before we go on, let me ask my audience one more time. Guys, if you like this, click the like button. I know I asked you once. Now I'm asking you twice. So do it, right? Click that like button. If you're watching on Twitter and not on YouTube, then do me a favor, retweet this right now. Just retweet it right now. Re-exit, repost it, whatever the thing is. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, now I'm angry again. Don't make me angry. Just subscribe. It's important. Do the subscription piece so we can get this out more. If you want to super chat me, you can. But no matter what, if you can, click that like and that subscribe button there. And please follow Barry. If you like what he's saying, follow him. He's on Twitter, right? He's not just here. He's also on Twitter. Follow him, Barry D. Bendar. And that's Bendar if you're listening. Or go to his website at Barry4Jersey.com. So, Barry, before we wrap this up, anything I missed, something you want to bring up?
No, well, with the Green 13, we've got those of you who are interested in the Green 13, and if there's anyone interested in being that 13th person, we're wide open. Our arms are wide open. But anyway, we're working very hard, diligently on getting our petition signatures. We have to have them in by June 4th at 4 p.m. to let you know that's called the sore loser rule. It stops anyone who runs as a Democrat or Republican at the last minute to switch and decide to run as an independent, because the polls don't close till 8 o'clock at night and it's too late to get your petition in. So, we're working really, really hard to get our petition signatures, get them in, get our Senate candidate and our 11 of 12 congressional candidates on. We're hoping to get that 12th congressional candidate. And if anyone would like to assist us in that, we definitely could use the help. There's not that much time left. We have a few weeks and we have to have them in. We're going to do it. We're going to get it done. And we're going to have 11 of the 12. Maybe we'll get the 12th of the 12. I'm banging the bushes now and seeing if we can find somebody, and we'll all work with that person going over. It's New Jersey Congressional District 12 that we have an opening in, and we'll go wherever we need to go and get those signatures and get the person on the ballot if we find that right person. So
there we go. That is great. Well, guys, once this is over, I want you to do me a favor on listening. Once it's done, once this ends, do me a favor, go back to wherever you were watching it and leave a comment afterwards. The Al Gore rhythms love it when you do that. So please head back and put that comment down right after, if you would. I want to say thank you, everybody, for watching. I appreciate it. I will be on tomorrow with Libertarians Drinking Coffee Live at 3 p.m. And I'll probably be on also tomorrow night talking about juries in the criminal defense world. That will be a good one. I will see you all very soon.